Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's Fireside Chat. If you're new to these, we'd like to welcome you to the family. Tonight's chat will be focusing on some key pieces in literature, including The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger and Hamlet by Shakespeare. As always on these chats, we'll be consulting an expert before we make up our minds. Today, we'll be calling Professor George Mullen, who's currently in Indonesia, Bali, Indonesia. Normally, I would invite my guests onto the show. However, obviously due to circumstances, I couldn't fly into Minneapolis. We couldn't do the chat that way. So I put some Christmas music on in the background. Because of course, we are sponsored by Starbucks for the Christmas music. Thank you to our sponsors for making this show possible, and thank you to our viewers for making this show possible. We're gonna call Professor Mullen right now. Of course, calling to Indonesia is a little bit slow, so just hang on. Enjoy the Christmas music as we call. Of course, please don't record the screen for his personal information. You wouldn't want to leak that. Cameraman, get a little bit closer, please. Sorry, Mr. Mullen, we're going to have to ask you to talk a little bit louder. Is that okay?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Well, how are you?
Considering it's 8 in the morning here, I'm quite tired. But I'm always happy to help and provide insight.
Very well, let's get started. Just so you know, our overarching theme for tonight's chat is going to be the following. Internal struggles, especially those that are a result of death, lead to madness due to the realization of the value of the person lost.
Well, this is a very complicated and complex theme, and I'd be happy to get started.
Great. So how this is going to work is I'm going to give you a quote and you're going to provide your analysis on it. All right. So here's the first quote from The Catcher in the Rye, and I'd love your take on it. Just for some context, Holden was recently faced with the news that that his peer Stradlater and someone who's near and dear to his heart, Jane, may have done something that may have not have been beneficiary to him, and I would like your opinion on it. So here's a quote. "What'd you do?" I said. "Give her the time in Ed Behnke's goddamn car. My voice was shaking something awful."
You know, this is actually one of my favorite quotes. Holden loses his brother early on. He can't deal with another loss in his life. No matter how significant it may seem to us, Jane is quite possibly one of the last in his life that holds value. This ties back to the theme significantly. He lost his brother at such a young age, a huge pillar of his mental health, simply destroyed. Any building with a huge, major support pillar lost will eventually fall. The tremble on Holden shows how truly vulnerable he is, how truly, for lack of a better word, crazy he is.
That, Professor Mullen, is why you're invited on the show. I would like to move on to the next quote. This quote really needs no context. "What I really felt like, though, was committing suicide. I felt like jumping out the window." And this was on page 104.
That right there is powerful. It's a cry for help. Holden is at his absolute breaking point. The moment Holden starts openly admitting the fact that he has suicidal thoughts is the moment we can realize the theme fully. If Holden had not lost someone influential in his life, he frankly most likely would not have been depressed. The flashbacks he has in his life furthermore added to the feeling of want, heck, need for a brother. The thing is, he can't get his brother back. That loss in his life is permanent, and those flashbacks make him realize the value that was lost. The thing about Holden is that he's chasing something that he can't get back. And that's affection. The whole reason he needs this affection is because of his little brother's passing. This all ties into the theme. Holden is going mad throughout this massive flashback, and himself recognizes that. He's self-aware, but he cannot do anything about it.
You know, all of this so perfectly ties with a piece of literature that in our minds is not even related to the Catcher in the Rye. And that piece of literature is Hamlet, and it's a piece by William Shakespeare. Hamlet holds a lot of the same characteristics as Holden does. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, both pieces certainly do support the theme that we addressed.
I think it's very fair to make that connection. I would love if you could perhaps bring up some examples.
Of course, that's what I'm here for. Now, for our viewers' sakes, we're going to use a modern English translations of Hamlet, because I think if you wanted to go through the traditional route of trying to translate Hamlet, you spend about 30 minutes on it, and I think you'd rather enjoy the show. So here's the quote: "The bodies with the king And the king's not with the body. The king's a thing. And this was Act 4, Scene 2, line 23 through 24.
That quote is more than huge. It's gigantic. What he says right here is so severely important in that it both links to Catcher in the Rye and the theme. Hamlet is basically admitting to seeing things, and not only randomly hallucinates, he claims to see the ghost of his dead father. This is no quote, and that the piece which could support the theme for tonight more than that one. This is the best. We see a bit of the same thing in Holden, but in a different form. Holden doesn't see things. Instead, he's experiencing one big flashback. Within this flashback, there are multiple mini flashbacks. The mind is playing tricks on both of these young men. And what do they have in common? That madness resulted from death. That madness resulted from the loss of someone important.
That's why I honestly think that both of these texts are a lot more similar than we'd like to admit. They both share very similar characteristics and ideas. And if you start looking closer, it honestly becomes hard to differentiate them. It honestly becomes hard to see the difference in the plot.
That's a valuable point.
I have one final quote for you, and then a follow-up question.
I'm ready.
Well, for context, Hamlet was having an argument with his mother when he heard something coming from the tapestry. He put his sword through the tapestry, in turn stabbing Polonius. This is what he said after pulling back the tapestry. And I'm sorry, I have to read off the script for this directly because I cannot remember this from memory for the life of me. You lowlife, nosy, busybody fool, goodbye. I thought you were somebody more important. You've gotten what you deserve. I guess you found out it's dangerous to be a busybody. And then he turns to his mother and says the following. Stop wringing your hands. Sit down and let me wring your heart instead, which I will do if it's still soft enough. If your evil lifestyle has not toughened it against feeling anything at all. And this was Act 3, Scene 4, lines 32 to 40.
What we see here is again another great example. Hamlet has an episode of madness. He has little care for the murder he's just committed, and instead chooses to criticize his mother, calling her evil. This ties back to the theme as a major part of his life has already been lost. He's spiraling out of control towards madness. He sees his new soul purpose as simply avenging his father's death. No more. He's lost his value, his individuality. We can see the same thing in Catcher in the Rye, when Holden dumps all his feeling upon his sister and tells her what he's truly feeling.
In general, both of these pieces really do possess the same theme. A few slight adjustments would make both of these storylines the exact same. I have one final question for you, I promise. How do external pressures to conform and internal questions influence an individual's ability to function in society?
Wow, that's a tough one. I'm going to try to summarize this. External pressures to conform are really a big factor. If the norm is expressing your opinion, it's a really healthy thing to have. The only issue with that is that it really happens. In both of these pieces, the external pressures were simply too much, without enough room for help, without enough room for the entertainment of human thoughts and emotions. This is illustrated by both of these texts. It's dangerous.
Well, we'd like to thank you for your time, Professor. As always on Fireside Chats, we're going to end with what we covered today, after I end the call, of course, with the Professor. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Today, we clearly communicated the theme of these two pieces while using supporting text evidence. This led to the audience possessing a deeper understanding of the text, while also understanding that the theme was important. Thank you for watching. Have a great Christmas. Of course, thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to our viewers. Without people like you, we wouldn't be able to stream. Thank you again. Good night.